Yes. Okay. Fine. So today we will discuss Yogachar and all the logicians who are in this school, and it is their contribution to theory of meaning, what we call it Apohavada, right? So please keep in mind what we have already discussed, because that is the background. We keep referring to those things which we have discussed so far. This is simply a detail. You can see that Yogachar Vijnanavad, the theory of this system, is known as Vijnana. Vijnana is the ultimate entity, and that's why it is called Vijnanavada. So there are texts and exponents. Maitreyanath is supposed to be the founder of this system. However, others think that it is Acharya Asanga. But since Arya Asanga is disciple of Maitreyanath, and there are texts ascribed to him, there you will find the Yogachar taking its form. So under Maitreyanath you have Mahayana Sutra Alankar, Dharma Dharmata Tribhanga, then Mahayana Uttar Tantra, Madhyant Vibhanga or Madhyant Vibhaga also, the same text, and Abhisamaya Alankar. This is important in the sense that it describes the paramitas, right? And what are the paramitas? Paramita means what? Huh? Yeah? Paramita.
That is beyond Parma.
Paramita, right? Paramita. Prajna Paramita, right? Prajna Paramita. You will see that there is a striking similarity between what we call dharma, broadly in other systems also. Dharma means what? Kind of value system. So, or in Patanjali Yoga Sutra you have Yam, Niyam, etc. All these are common. One should take a kind of comparative, note of all these things. What we have called dharma, paramita, or let us say Yam, Niyam, these all are interrelated. Okay. So the idea is not to prepare to make you intellectually sound, but also morally, very sound or high. So that's why it is important. Darshan or yoga system or sadhana will be incomplete in absence of these paramitas or these dharmas, what we call values. So it's a value oriented culture, society. So in literature also you have the same kind of discussion, Chaturvarga Phala Prapti, etc. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. What is the purpose, goal of literature, Sahitya? To achieve this fourfold goals of life: Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. In fact, literature is important in this culture in the sense that you can classify all the available verbal discourse into 4 categories on the basis of Purusharth. So there are works on Dharma, there are works on Kama, there are works on Artha and on Moksha. Whole Upanishad is Moksha Shastra, or as we discussed last time also, Yoga Vasishtha is also a Mokshopaya, like this. So this is a common parameter across the discipline that runs through the disciplines, knowledge disciplines. And maybe all such things are discussed not in isolation. Society must be promoted. The life of the people must be promoted through them. Okay. one has to practice these things, yam niyam or paramitas, daya paramita, kshanta paramita, ahimsa. All these good values, great values are included under this 10 paramitas. And there is a huge literature available, in fact, Pragya Paramita Shastra in Buddhism. Buddhism is unique in the sense that it has emphasized this ethical norms or ethical values, and that's why wherever it got disseminated, it was accepted widely, because it is not, or any dharma in India, when it traveled across the boundaries, it was accepted because it was not opposed to anyone. These are the values. By dharma we mean simply values, value system. Okay, so where is the opposition? So in fact, the kings of other countries used to send their ambassadors here to learn and to translate these texts into their respective languages and get them disseminated in their own land. So this is important, and I am reminded of Bhartrihari, who has a very beautiful expression. It is called Sarva Vada Virodhina. Sarva Vada Virodhina. Sarva Vada Avirodhina. The thought system is, do you need light? एक जला दीजिए सर, हाँ एक जला दीजिए तो दिखे. Let there be light. Okay. Sarva Vada Avirodhina. Vada Virodhina Avirodhina. So the quest is for the self, of course, but so far theories or principles are concerned, the quest is for a universal principle, overarching principle, which is not opposed to anyone, right? So Sarva Vada Avirodhi, that is not contradicting, or that is not opposed to any other thought system. So to get that position, which is all overarching and accepted by all. So this has been the quest right from the beginning. I'm quoting from a text of 5th century AD. Okay, Bhartrihari's Vakya Padiya. Remember his name, because we will discuss some of his theories of language. Bhartrihari Vakya Padiya. This is the text on philosophy of grammar. Philosophy of grammar. By the way, what is the difference between grammar and Vyakaran?
Vyakaran has to separate the sadhu shabda and sadhu shabda gaya karoti. Grammar I don't.
क्या होता है सर इसका etymology? Greek.
Gram
Means?
from gram means basically graphing.
Graph, writing.
So the
Writing. Got the idea? Of grammatology. Huh?
Of grammar.
You got the idea? The scriptal form.
And why gram? Because when in Greek the word is declension of the word, in that you gram. For example, see, in Greek if you write sphinx, how do you write? You write sphygos, but you read it as sphingos.
Yes.
So this is part of the declension. That's why you have gram, and gram is basically a written basic unit. Then what is the basic unit of writing? This itself is a big question.
This is a matter of cultural preferences. The other day we were discussing that language is primarily speech. Speech has the greater value, not the writing. Okay, but where you have the notion or concept of holy book in a culture, then the book cannot be without script, and the book cannot be without author. So all this debate and book anticipates a reader. So all literary theories you can align with these terms, whose meaning will prevail, authorial intention, which was rejected later on by Plinth Brooks and Beardsley, and who Rolla Barthes declared the death of God and death of the author. God was killed earlier. So series of death, my God. And then they thought that the reader would do justice to the text. Then again anarchy, reader's response theory, and then finally they came to structuralism, language, text itself. So that's what Indian politicians were doing right from the beginning. Okay, right from the beginning. Think of any Indian literary theory, it is ultimately based on the analysis of the text, language primarily, because text is constituted in language. So you have to be familiar with the text. Why this became possible? Because there was a very, very rich tradition of language study in the culture. That's why it became possible. You can further develop it for the poetic meaning, poetic language or poetic meaning. Right. So here you will see in this Vyakriyante Vyutpadyante Anen iti Shabda. That's why it is called Vyakaran. Vyakaran literally means science of analysis, instrument of analysis, let us say. Karan means instrument, and that helps you to make a kind of analysis. How do we analyze it? We divide it into its components, right? Which one is the base, which one is suffix, prefix, which are the case markers, which are the time markers, etc. And how many words are there in a sentence. So we keep on dividing it for the sake of analysis. Suppose this is the object before us. How do we analyze it? Because we have to first find out its components and how these components are bound together, right? What are the principles, what are the rules that constitute these components in this form, right? So Vyakaran does simply that thing. That's why right from the beginning there was a kind of saying that Paniniyam Kanadam cha. I am taking the position of the grammarians. Otherwise they would say Kanadam Paniniyam cha. Okay. Paniniyam Kanadam cha Sarva Shastropakarakam. Panini means grammar. Paniniyam means grammar. Vyakaran, not grammar, literally. Now this is interchangeable. So grammar and logic both are treated like the meta disciplines. They are important for all other disciplines. When you want to study any text, you need grammar, you need logic. These are the basic sciences, fundamental sciences, disciplines. So this was the essential curriculum, part of a curriculum, academic curriculum in our Gurukul or higher studies. Well, so there he says, Sarva Vada Virodhini. See, he is writing a text on Vyakarana. Bhartrihari is writing a text on Vyakarana. Yet he is, through his own disciplines, he is also concerned with that I should come up with such a universal theory, universal model, which is not opposed to any other thought system, not opposed to, right? So this is how it goes on, and then you will see that Arya Asanga, Paramitas, right? Description of Paramitas, 21 commentaries in Sanskrit and Tibet on this text. These are there. Commentary by Acharya Haribhadra in 9th century. This is Abhisamaya Alankara Loka. Okay. Then Pooja, please correct me if something goes wrong. Arya Asanga, right? After Maitreyanath, Arya Asanga, disciple of Maitreyanath, Mahayan Samparigraha, Prakarana Arya Vacha, Yogachara Bhumi Shastra. This is important for us, Yogachara Bhumi Shastra. And 17 such bhumis or levels of what we call consciousness, also chitta, is described here. And this text was not available earlier. This is the effort of great Acharya Rahul Sankrityayan, who found the manuscript and brought it here, Pandit Rahul Sankrityayan. Okay. And then fourth is the Mahayana Sutralankar, commentary on the Karikas of Maitriya Nath. This is a kind of commentary on the text of his Guru, right? Then you will see Vijnanavada, right? Acharya Vasubandhu. He is so important, he is known as the second Buddha in the tradition, right? Second Buddha. And these are his texts: Abhidharma Kosha, Vaibhashika and Vijnana. He is a Vaibhashika and Vijnanavadi both. Okay? Abhidharma Kosha is very major text. He is both. This is why he is unique, that he is Vaibhashika. And what is the theory of the Vaibhashikas? Sarva Asti Vada, right? Sarva Asti Vada. We have already discussed. Internal and external, both are real. This is the positions very similar to what the Kashmir Shaivites took. You know, they also have expounded the theory of Abhasvada. So internal and external, whatever appears to you or me, whatsoever form, all are real. All are real. This is the philosophy of Kashmir, right? It's a big claim, and they defend it very logically. So initially, in the first half of his life, he was a Vaibhashika, a great Acharya of Vaibhashik school of Buddhism. Vibhasha Shastra, we talked about. Mahavibhasha Shastra was a huge text. And then he criticized the position taken by the Vijnanavadis. Okay, he was a critic of Vijnanavada. But later on, his own brother Asanga, elder brother, he got initiated into this Yogachar, and then it is said that he regretted a lot that he had earlier criticized this position of Vijnanavada, and he was about to get rid of this worldly life as a regret also, because that was considered to be a kind of offense. But then his brothers persuaded him that there is no use of taking away your life, and so it's better to compose texts and theorize more this Vijnanavada. And then he wrote Vigyapti Matrata Siddhi. Later on we'll see. Commentary on Saddharma Pundari. This is one of the seminal texts of Mahayana Buddhism. And then commentary on Mahaparinirvana Sutra, commentary on Vajra Chedika, Vigyapti Matrata Siddhi. This is a very, very important text for Vijnanavada also. So, you see, there are two versions. In one, we have Vimshika, which contains only 20 karikas, 20 verses, commented by the author himself, commented by Vasubandhu. He has commented on these 20 karikas himself. And later on, you have Tanshika, which is commented by his not really disciple, but later on in the tradition, by Sthiramati. All Silva Levi has published it in Sanskrit. Earlier it was not available. Maybe credit goes to Silva Levi, French scholar. So it was published in Sanskrit in Paris, right? Then you have with a very good introduction, certainly. Then you have Sthiramati, later half of the 4th century, Sutralankar Vritti Bhasya, as the title itself suggests, it's a commentary text. Then Trimshika Bhashya, we have already referred. Then Panchaskandha Prakarana. Panchaskandha, you know, 5 elements, extended form of Nam and Roop, we have already discussed. Panchaskandha Prakaran and commentary thereupon. He commented upon the same text. Abhidharma Kosha Bhashya Vritti. This is a commentary on Vasubandhu's Abhidharma Kosha. Okay? And then Moola Madhyamika Karika Vritti. Moola Madhyamika Karika is the work of Nagarjuna. So he has commented upon this. And Madhyant Vibhag Sutra Bhashya. So these all are very, very important philosophical texts in Sanskrit. And please keep in mind, this is again a kind of misconception, widely disseminated by some scholars who have their political ideologies, that Buddhism was opposed to Sanskrit. Most of the philosophical texts are in Sanskrit and very high level of Sanskrit. It's very difficult Sanskrit. Pramana Vartik, the text in its own time itself was considered as a very, very difficult text. Today, if you find, you will not find even 4 or 5 scholars who can teach you Pramana Vartik. This is the situation.
Difficult Sanskrit, the difficulty at the level of language or at the level of thought?
Both. The kind.
Chosen the difficult words.
No, it is a requirement there. It is requirement there.
Difficulty is of the technical term. It's not that there is any deliberate.
It's written in a highly technical Sanskrit. Highly technical. That is the requirement of the theme, right?
So not difficult Sanskrit, but using technical terms.
Because you need to know a lot of other things before you approach that text. Okay, he anticipates that in every text you have a concept of adhikari, one who is the ideal reader. So he expects a lot. So that's why this text is.
That is true of any tradition.
That is true. But this text is really difficult. Really difficult. You start analyzing the definitions given by Dharmakirti, you will find it. And it gives you a very precise definition. For example, Prataksha or Gyan, Avisambadi Gyanam, like this. So it needs lots of reflection to understand that, right? And then you will see, even I must tell you, sir, even Sanskrit is very difficult in this text. I have checked with many scholars. They said that for example, even Rajshekhar Sanskrit is very difficult to understand. The kind of Sanskrit he has, though it is supposed to be a text, a very simple text, very a kind of pedagogical text in poetics, but the language is archaic in the sense that you know the whole tradition of grammar of Sanskrit. Only then you are in different traditions in Sanskrit grammar. Only then you will be able to.
So that is the difficulty level and thought. If you read Derrida, see the word tetralema, is it an English word? It's not, but you have to know the term.
Right.
Difficulty is not at the language level of thought.
Right. So Moola Madhyamik Karika and all such things, right? Then you have Dingnag, that is very important for us. And here you have his time, born in Kanchi in a Brahmin family. I am highlighting this Brahmin families, just to get rid of this notion that that it was anti-Brahmin philosophy, anti-Brahminical philosophy, right? This has nothing to do with the caste, but the kind of misconception which has been spread, just to get rid of those things. So, born in Kanchi in a Brahmin family, so you can see the spread of Buddhism, there is no division like north or south, which restricts it. And then you have his first guru is supposed to be Nagadatta, and then he was a Patta Shishya of Vasubandhu. Patta Shishya, it is like, taking forth the lineage, lineage, Patta Shishya, Patta de dete the apna guru.
Like the crown with things.
It's a very respectable position, Patta Shishya. Yesterday, I think you were talking about Sarvatantra Swatantra. That is also a upadhi, a designation given to a scholar. Sarvatantra Swatantra. Somebody, maybe the scholar of Vedanta or Bodh Darshan or Jain Darshan or so, he or she is not a Sarvatantra Swatantra. He is within that system, that's why. But suppose a Vedanta Acharya has certain doubts, whom he will go and get it cleared? Whom should he approach? Right? Or a Nayayik, a great Nayayik himself, if he has certain doubts, to whom he will approach? So a Acharya who is capable of resolving all these issues and capable of answering all these themes and queries, he was known as Sarvatantra Swatantra. And I am reminded of a great scholar, Pandit Damodar Goswami ji from Kashi. Pandit Damodar Lal Goswami. He was given this title, Sarvatantra Swatantra, right? Then somebody asked him, sir, why did you study so much? What was the purpose? You studied all the Shastras, all the philosophical systems, all the disciplines. What was the purpose? Why did you study so much? There was a goal, might be. He said that goal was very simple. And what was that? Just to be able to study Kavya Prakash of Mammat. Can you imagine? His reading of Kavya Prakash, that is a text of poetics, which we don't take seriously at all. He was preparing himself to be able to study Kavya Prakash of Mammat, a 12th century Kashmiri scholar. He was, so such is the, scholarship in the tradition. And Mammat himself, it is said that this great poet Sriharsh was his what to call nephew, अंग्रेजी में तो भांजे थे, his sister's son, as it is recorded. And Sriharsh himself is a great poet, and again very difficult poet, because if you start analyzing his verses, it will have 3, 4, 5 layers of meaning, depending on your scholarship, to what extent you are capable of doing that. So when he composed his text, Naishriya Charitam, he approached his maternal uncle, Mamaji, in Kashmir. He was himself a Kashmiri. So he said that I have completed this work, Mahakavya, epic in the sense, and then he said that kindly see if there is some flaw, so that can be corrected. And Mammat had gone through it, and then he said that you came very late to me. So why? Because I have just completed my Kavya Prakash, and I have devoted a full chapter on the flaws in poetry. Flaws in poetry. I would have taken all the examples from your text itself. All types of flaws are here in your text. I was wandering here and there to collect those examples. All the examples are here. Can you imagine this kind of scholarship? India lost that tradition. Lost that tradition. I don't know when that thread will be picked up again, and it will continue with that. Well, so he came to Nalanda to defeat a logician called Sudurnaya, and his works are here. Praman Samuchay, this is very, very important text for our discussion today, which has 5 chapters. You see this? Pratyaksha, Swarthanuman, first, second, Swarthanuman, third is Pararthanuman, and Hetu, Drishtant, and Apoha, and then finally Jati. So this is important that for the first time there is a full-fledged discussion on Apoha theory, Buddhist theory of meaning in this text, right? Unfortunately, this text is no longer available in original with us. This is in Tibetan translation, Bhot Bhasha, Language, name of the language is Bhota, right? Tibet is the name of the land, you know. So Bhota Bhasha, and along with two commentaries in Bhota Bhasha itself, and it is translated into English by Richard P. Hayes. I had informed you earlier. So this is the situation, and you will see that first of all, I told you that this great philosopher Nagarjuna refuted all kinds of epistemological rules and techniques. He rejected epistemology. After he was in the 1st century, then in the next 400 years, we don't find any text in Buddhism on epistemology. Okay, maybe because of the constant debate with the Nyayikas, they thought it to compose the text on epistemology also. So after 4th, 5th century, you have this many texts are coming up now, like Pramana Vartik of Dharmakirti, like who comes after him, and many more texts on epistemology. Dingnag himself, you see, Pramana Samuchaya, Nyaya Pravesh, that is also a text on epistemology. Then Hetu Chakra Damru, or also known as Hetu Chakra Nirnay, that is also a text of epistemology. Then Pramana Shastra Nyaya Pravesha, this is also a text on epistemology. That is for the beginners, as the name says, Pravesha, right? This is for the getting into this domain called epistemology, Buddhist epistemology, right? So such texts were composed, and then I just want to take you to this text. Pratyaksha is perception, and Anuman has two parts, Swarthanuman and Pararthanuman, inference for self and inference for others. When we try to ascertain the validity of something through our mental process internally, I am not communicating to others, but within we want to certain things. So that is called Swarthanuman, Swa Arth Anumana. Swa, self, Arth means object, Anuman, that is by the process of inference that object is established. Pararthanuman, when what we know, we are going to expound it in such a way logically, so that it is communicated or it is convincing to others also. So all this smoke fire relationship is under this. Hetu Drishtante. Hetu means you need to give concrete examples, actual examples there in life. And finally, you have two more chapters. Apoha is about how through words we arrive at certain meaning or cognition. And then Jati. This is important to know. Yesterday we were talking about language, that language functions on the principle of economy. For economy, Jati is very, very important, because you cannot deal with individuals. There are innumerable, okay, innumerable. So ultimately you have to accept Jati. This is again a misconception that Buddhists rejected Jati. Without Jati you can't discuss all such things, right? Yes, Jati is of course a conceptual category. Jati is a conceptual category. It is created by the mental process, No. Forget about this thing. Class property, universal. Huh? Jati. Jati means class, not this class, right? Class or universal. Now see why it is important, particularly in the context of language. You know the Buddhist position that the objects are in constant change, There is theory of momentariness, Kshanabhangavad, we have already discussed. So, if the object is in constant change, right, how can you capture that momentary existence of that object? Swalakshana. Swalakshana. Because that is in a constant, movement, in constant change. So, word cannot capture it, and that's why Sautrantikas were saying Bahya Artha Anumeyavad, external object, cannot be grasped through any other means, so it can only be inferred. You can only infer, you can have a general idea of that object outside, not the exact what it is happening at that particular moment, right? So, things are changing all the time. The moment you decide to describe this, it is already changed, it is already gone, because this is the dharma. Dharma now in the different sense, that this is the most subtle element, non-divisible, caused by certain elements, hetu prabhava, ye dharma, hetu prabhava. So, these are product of certain process, there are causal elements, and they keep on moving, they keep dharma santati, we call it dharma santati here. So, they keep moving, and they together constitute, when they are joined together, they form a particular object. So, the object itself cannot have any specific, self, specific quality there, right? Because this is a combination of various dharmas. So, in itself it will have no self nature, and this is the description in Milinda Parhyum, that there is a discussion between Nagsen and Menander, Milinda Prashna. So, there Nagsen, while discussing, the king asked that you denied Atman, is that fine? So, give me some example, drishtanta, he calls it drishtanta, give me some drishtanta, actual example, actual, not imaginary. Examples could be of both kinds, no? You can pick up from the life around, or you can imagine examples. So, drishtanta, he says that how did you approach me, how did you come to my place, hermitage? He said that I came on my chariot. Then he took him to his chariot outside, and then Nagsen asked, where is your chariot? Then he says that this is here. Do you think this is the wheel that is chariot, or the horse, or the chhatra? Where is the rope or whatever? So, where is the chariot? And then there was no answer, and then he says that this is the combination of all these components that is named as chariot. Similarly, Panchaskandhas bound together are given a common name, and that is Atman. If you feel happy, you call it Atman, no harm. Okay? So, in this way, Atman means having its own nature, particular nature, the way it is described in other thought systems. That is denied here, right? That is denied here. Atman is accepted, but only at this pragmatic level, phenomenal level, not at the transcendental level, right? So, then if you apply word to describe something, it is not possible, because things are changing in constant change. So, you have to accept jati as a category to make this verbal communication possible. Okay? Without jati, you cannot describe. Okay? There is a very good debate in the beginning of in Mahabhashya of Patanjali, right? Kesham Shabdanam, Atha Shabdanushāsanam, Kesham Shabdanam, Laukikanam, Vedikanam cha. And then what is Shabda? What kind of discipline is this which you are going to describe? He says this is Shabdanushāsan, discipline of words. In other words, it's grammar. And then he says that what kind of words you are going to describe? Laukikanam, Vedikanam cha. See, the name Sanskrit doesn't appear here. Laukic words used in the contemporary world, and Vediki words. Vediki means Vedic word, language that is applied in the Ved. So then can we infer that Sanskrit was, or Vedic language was, never a spoken language?
Was in its time.
Can you give me any example in the world where the text is written in a language which was not at all used by the people? For no, I am not talking general. Vernacular or classical doesn't mean.
Esperanto is the only example.
There were many
We have a
languages.
few artificial text.
There were many languages that were created in 20th century.
I am not talking about created language, natural language I am talking about. Okay?
When it becomes natural, it's spoken.
It's a spoken, right? It's a spoken language. So,
I'm not sure, but some people believe and claim, especially that Pali was never used as a spoken language for a reason. That it did not have any words which are required, like for example, like a fight or something. Those words are not there. It was considered as a language of the Dharma, so never used for the spoken. Even Sri Lanka, they claim it. They claim it, but I am not very sure.
this is
It's
the,
called Buddha Vachana.
So not used for a spoken language, just for dharma studies and shastra.
what was the language of Mahatma Buddha when he was preaching? And naturally, if he was preaching to others, they were able to understand him.
Yeah.
Okay? Otherwise, he was not preaching just on the Gridkur
That
Parvat.
is the argument.
Nobody is listening to him.
That is the argument that when he was preaching, he was using Pali, which is supposed to be an artificial neutral language. It's an argument. So when he was preaching, he was using this artificial neutral language. Who is that? This by some European scholar who has written this theory.
They will always give.
Sir, I think it's hieroglyphs because it's written, it's not spoken.
Leave it. This is all useless debate.
Language Egyptian is all was spoken, whatever Coptic or whatever language it may be, but hieroglyphs are only writing script. That's not language.
Right.
Make a distinction between script and
So we believe that when Buddha said that Sakai Nirutya, that you can recompose this statement or my statement in the Sakai Nirutya in your own language, whatever language you are using, just compose it and get it disseminated, right? So this is a very stupid argument that a language which was never used, never spoken and not known, in that language something huge literature, vast literature was composed. For whom they were doing this? Okay.
that is why they don't want to accept Pali as a language, but only Pali and Buddhist. So Pali doesn't have any text written.
I'll give you
Like
an example.
any poetry,
In fact,
any drama.
you see this. This is important to.
Pali has text written. Pali has literature.
See,
They would not answer. Pali has a grammar.
initially you have a what? Vedic, Vediki and Laukiki. Okay. This is what Patanjali 150 BC is telling you. That Laukikanam, Vedikanam cha. So the language is not giving the name of the language. Please remember, language exists, naming of language comes later. This is a tragic situation. Language names everything, but language has to be named later on. Isn't it? So there is no name of this. That's why he is saying Vediki. Even today, you go in the remote areas and ask people, sir, which language do you speak? And they will in fact puzzled. They say, what a stupid question you are talking. I am speaking language. I am using language. Which language? What does that mean? Then you will remind him, because you are an educated person, so you will tell him you are using this language. They will accept, okay, fine. Since you are educated person coming from some high institutions, so you might be saying correct. Okay. Naming of language is a matter of politics, simply. Okay. It's a political, ideological question. Okay. You name which language you speak? Hindi. Marathi. The other day you say that whatever form I am using, it should be named by another, it should be given another name and start a political movement. Huh? Sooner or later it will be accepted in the constitution. Okay, it's scheduled. Huh?
English, French, German, even Hindi for India, that is Bangla.
During, sir, during Khadi Boli, in Hindi, what we are using today? Khadi Boli. How can this be Hindi? It should be called Khadi Boli, and it is Boli, not Bhasha. Huh? So many things. That's why it's a political decision. Okay? It's a political decision. Right? Anyways, that is not our concern. But just to bring you here, Patanjali is saying that Ashtadhyayi of Panini is grammar of both Vediki and Laukiki. Then here he means the language, whatever name you give it, okay, the language which is applied in the Vedic compositions, right? Once the text is composed in whatever form of language, the text freezes the language. Even after 1,000 years, that language will not change. Though it was written in a language which was contemporary, at that time it was used in the public use. So in that text, in that language, the text was composed. But after 1,000 years, that language which was being used by the people at that time is bound to change. But the language applied in the text will not change. Right? Shakespearean drama. It was written in the language when Shakespeare was composing his dramas. Okay. Now the language which is in his drama is frozen. It's there simply. Nobody is using that language today. Okay. These days I have seen there are modern versions of Shakespeare's drama in modern English. You know, because people, even the British cannot understand that language of 16th century English. Okay. So you have a modern version of Shakespearean drama written in modern English. Okay. This is the situation. So here you have Vediki and Laukiki, the contemporary language which is used in his time of Patanjali or Panini, and Vediki is that one which is the language of the Veda. And one can see the development or systematic change from here to here. So it's in continuity, right? And otherwise, one common grammar cannot address both the situations, right? Vediki and Laukiki. So this is how it goes on. And similarly, when this language was named as Sanskrit, Ashtadhyayi is supposed to be a grammar of the language named Sanskrit, right? But Ashtadhyayi never tells us about it, neither the commentators. Ashtadhyayi has used the word Sanskritam is a sutra, is a expression, aphoristic expression, Sanskritam, but it is not used in the sense of language. It is only used in the sense of that which is elevated, more stylized, something like this, you know. So when this name was used to denote a particular language, it was not possible, it would not have been possible without Prakriti. Okay? Without Prakriti there is no meaning of Sanskrit, without Sanskrit there is no meaning of Prakriti. Right? So this is Sanskrit, and then you will see that it started changing. And then the first stage of Prakrit is known as Pali, in which Buddha's statements are there, vast Tripitakas are there. Then later on you have the intermediate phases till you come to Brahms and modern Indian languages. Okay, so both are related to each other. That's why in Sanskrit drama you find the parallel uses of both Sanskrit and Prakrit. Sanskrit and Prakrit, because they are mutually understandable languages, right? So even a person who doesn't know Sanskrit, but on the stage somebody is delivering the dialogues in Sanskrit, the other person, though he or she is responding in Prakrit, but that means it is quite understandable, intelligible languages. So naming a language has always been problematic, right? Only in 5th century AD this name got established in the sense of a language, particular language, right? The way Pali got its validity or acceptance as a particular form of Prakrita. So both were coming down, and if you go through the tradition of poets and thinkers in our culture, they literally do not make any distinction between the two. They use Sanskrit as well as they use Prakrit, not only in dramas but in their philosophical texts also. Mahartha Manjari, a huge text, very very important text of Shakta tradition, that is composed in Prakrit. So they don't find any difficulty, since they know it, know the language, so they do it. Okay, there were multiple languages in this country. For always multiple languages were existing. You have hardly have any instance of conflict on the basis of language. This is the modern day phenomena.
No, they know the whole tradition of epic is there.
So Vaddakaha, for example, Gunadhya's text is called Vaddakaha. Vaddakaha. Vaddakaha is in Paishachi Prakrit. It's in Paishachi Prakrit. The original text is lost. Then the two great poets from Kashmir, Kshemendra and Somdev, they took the narratives from here and recomposed in Sanskrit. And these two texts are available with us, Katha Sarit Sagar and Brihat Katha Manjari. So try to understand the kind of linguistic situations we have in our country. It was never the conflict mood which was prevailing here. That's why I told you this is a recent phenomenon, and when politics and all such things interfere into it to divide people, and you move from north to south or south to north, you hardly find any difficulty in communicating with the people. That's why our great Parivrajak Acharyas, Mahatma Buddha himself, they were moving through different parts of the country, and they were not having any difficulty in communicating with the people, right? Shankaracharya, right from Kerala in south, he travelled up to Kashmir. He didn't complain that people are not able to understand his language, because Guru Nanak. So if you move, you will hardly feel which language ends and which language started, right? And so this is the continuity which we are talking, linguistic continuity. It's a culture, like culture and language, they move, without any boundary. Political boundaries cannot control them. But these days, of course, they are so important, so vital that they are controlling the linguistic and cultural boundaries also. They are deciding the cultural boundary, right? Jati, right? Jati is important for verbal communication. So jati is not accepted at the transcendental level. Jati is accepted at the phenomenal level. Okay? For pragmatic level, jati is accepted. So Buddhists accept jati, class, property, but at the level of phenomenal reality, phenomenal reality, samritik satya, because it's a process of mind that constitutes jati, right? Process. So this is important, and then we'll move to Dharmakirti, whose texts are here. He was also born in a Brahmin family, a disciple of Dharmapala, and then his works are there: Pramanavartik, Pramana Vinishchaya, Nyaya Bindu, Vada Nirnaya, Hetu Bindu, and Sambandha Pariksha. These all are epistemological works. Okay, so you can understand the contribution of Buddhist logicians in epistemology. And there are many more, like you have Shanta Rakshita, Tattva Sangraha, Ratnakirti, Apoho Siddhi. His text is called Apoho Siddhi. Should I write it? Huh?
Yeah, it is right.
Hmm. Later Buddhist logicians are Shanta Rakshita, his text is called Tattva Sangraha, right? Tattva Sangraha. Then you have Ratnakirti, whose text is Apoho Siddhi. He has criticized Shantarakshit. Remember, see this tradition of critical thinking, that he didn't hesitate to criticize his own Acharya. Why not? Break here?
5 minutes.
Okay. Please. After 5 minutes. 5. दीजिए
हिंदी में है प्रमाण वाटिका चैप्टर 1, प्रमाण सिद्धि तो अब चैप्टर 2 और चैप्टर 1 जो प्रत्यय परिचय हिंदी में रामचंद्र त्रिपाठी का।
ओह ग्रेट
है दोनों संस्कृत में।
वाह थैंक यू वेरी मच नहीं खाली वाटर पानी मिल गया, बॉटल तो यहीं था, पता नहीं कहाँ गया। प्रमाण सिद्धि So all the chapters are published now in translation.
But I think Ramchandra Tripathi is Hindi 1 or 2 only.
I see.
And I went there last time, so I got this. Pramana Samuchaya I could not because it was out of stock. But next time I'll try.
We need that. Okay. No, if it is translated back into Sanskrit from Tibetan, then there is not much difficulty.
What they have done there, one is Punarala, and another one is from the commentary, Smriti. They have extracted, like Ishwar saying, commentary.
इस तरह के ट्रांसलेशन प्रोसेस को लिखिए ताकि इंडिया इंडियन ताकि किसी को
अच्छा
जिन लोगों कहता हूँ मुझे तो अब उन्होंने थोड़ा सा टेक्स्ट 1 साल समझाने का दिया, उसका टाइम नहीं मिल रहा। अब
हम देख लेते हैं।
ठीक है।
एक महीना पहले दिया ना, एक साल तक मुझे समझ नहीं आया कि आप कैसे कर रहे हैं।
मुझे नहीं
चालू करना है फिर।
This is a collection of extracts from different sources, starting from Dharma Kirti. So wherever this discussion on Apo is there, this learned scholar, this editor has Swami Dwarikadas Shastri. He has collected this. So, and Tattva Sangrah, there is a commentary on Panjika by Kamalashil. Kamalashil. The commentary name is Panjika. Panjika. Santarakshit. So these are the later Buddhist logicians. They defended this theory of meaning when there is a kind of criticism Purvapaksha coming from Vedanta, Mimamsa, then Nyaya, mainly Nyaya, and to some extent from the Shaiva tradition also, Shaiva tradition. So कभी if revise करने का time मिला, if I get the opportunity to revise this book, I will include those things also. अब देखिए, first of all, let us see what this theory of meaning is all about. Have you gone through that essay, that article which we have circulated? The article.
It was not circulated, maybe in another group. To me, it was not circulated.
No, somebody has taken the picture of this Buddhist theory of meaning from this book.
No, you are not giving it to me to their batch.
No, I have read from an anthology.
Yes, that book only.
I found it in archives.
Okay. So it is called Apohavad, right? Up is a prefix. Uh. Okay, base, not verbal root, remember. Verbal root is uh. Okay? Not even this. Right? Uhyate, like this. And suffix is ghaya. Right? So this is the structure of the word apoha. Apoha. Right? Up, and ghaya. Ghaya is the suffix that makes it a nominal base. Right? So apoha. The word apoha is derived like this. Means logical thinking. Right? Logical thinking. Uhyate. Deciding something logically, okay, by argument. The name itself suggests that we are no longer at the level of Paramarthik Satya, transcendental reality, because this process of logical, thinking, rational thinking, is at the level of inference. At the level of inference. So, first thing is that it is the part of Samvritik Satya. Right? Phenomenal reality, what we call it. So, there are various relationships between word and meaning which are discussed in Indian thought system. I need not repeat that there are only two means of knowledge and there are two knowables, which we have discussed at length in the previous lectures. Now, what kind of relationship holds between these three things? What are these three things? Let's see this. You have three components. You have word, you have meaning, and meaning relates to certain objects, internal or external, conceptual or concrete, whatever, right? One can present it in this form. Okay? Here you have word, here you have meaning, and here you have object. Now the question is, how these three relate each other? How does the word relate to meaning, and how meaning relates to object? Is there any direct relationship between word and object, or it is always through meaning? This is the question before us. So somebody utters the word cow. How do we get this meaning? There is meaning something, and if you want to know the meaning, dictionary, Shabdakosha, is this a collection of word or collection of meaning also? Meaning also? Sure? Where is the meaning in the dictionary?
Oh yes, in that sense.
Meaning is described in word itself.
Yeah.
Open any entry like cow.
Yeah.
If you open that entry, you will find 4 more words to explain this. Then go to those words again. So it's a meaning is almost deferred. Deferred. Okay?
Lexicography, not meaningography. Lexicology or lexicography, only lexicon.
It's collection of word, right?
Meaning is deferred.
It's a collection of vachakas. Vachakas. So, your meaning is really complex. It pertains to this whole mental processing operation. Okay, we understand this. Second is, first of all, see the issues which are involved. Whether word is physical or mental, where meaning is physical or mental, where objects are physical or mental. Third, note down, I will miss out. मुझे भी याद नहीं रहेगा. फर्स्ट क्या था कि what kind of relation holds between word, meaning and object. Okay, first issue. Second, whether these three are physical or mental, internal or external. Third, is there any possibility that word directly denotes the object? Right? And what was the fourth one we were discussing just now? Yeah. It's gone. Well, then you will see that meaning is, there are several options, whether it is positive or negative. Note down these things. Positive or negative, identical or differential, class or individual. For example, when you utter the word cow, do you mean the class cow or individual cow? Class. Okay, we'll see that. What do we mean really? So these are the issues which are involved. And what is the ontological status of that knowledge which is achieved or acquired by the words? How reliable is that knowledge? Okay. How reliable is the knowledge? These are the questions before us. So every theory of meaning has to address these concerns, right? Now let's see this nature of this linguistic sign. This is the linguistic sign word. There are various types of sign, as a hand gesture, for example smoke, that is also a sign. Many more such things are there. Or you will see the a person who has dressed himself like an ascetic, so the dress becomes sign in that sense. सर ये कुछ हो गया इसमें. Okay, so nature of linguistic, we are concerned here only with the linguistic sign words, right? Word. And one more issue you can write, whether word is the fundamental unit or sentence. So let us consider this linguistic sign. Different philosophical schools have their different positions, because I told you in the beginning that each theory of meaning is rooted in its respective philosophical background, no? Rooted there. So Nyaya will have a different kind of theoretical position. Bauddha or Jain or Mimamsakas or grammarians, they would have their own respective theoretical position so far meaning is concerned or language is concerned. Note it down, that will be important. Make a table like this. Here you write schools and here is linguistic sign. Nature of linguistic sign. Okay. So name them here 2, 3 like this. Bodh in the beginning, right? Linguistic sign is conceptual, that it has no external existence. Why? Because remember, this theory is being discussed by the Vijnanavadins. There is nothing outside. Only Vijnan takes the form of the object which we see outside, right? Everything is internal, within. So this is the Vijnana that is taking the form, and that is conceptual mental. So a linguistic sign is conceptual image. Then it is the indirect. That means no direct relationship between word and object is possible. It is only through this. Sorry. This is the process. So no direct. So we can say like this, just to mark this indirect relationship between this. Indirect, that shows indirect relationship. This broken line shows this. Now the question is that whether this is physical, word is physical or conceptual. Word which we utter is a physical entity or a conceptual entity.
Conceptual entity. So it has two levels of existence, in which it's sound and then it's conceptual.
So means here, since we are discussing, language is internal, right? Abstract. It is within us. So we are discussing this conceptual word also. Not only meaning, but word is also conceptual. And that's why Saussure, if you remember, he has made this statement that in language there is nothing outside. There is nothing outside. In fact, Saussure takes inspiration from a number of philosophical positions which are taken here. Okay, the only the regret is that Shastri didn't write himself any finished book. You know, it's simply a compilation, and those.
He has written a book.
No, this one, a course in general linguistics. A course in general
Most
linguistics.
references are available.
But you will see,
Not translated.
you will, if you know these different schools of thought, you will see that maybe because he is teaching a class there, so he has not taken these specific positions, or maybe he might have taken such position, explained this position in the class, but the students and others were not able to follow. You know? So you will find the position taken by the grammarians, taken by the Buddhists and others, all gets mixed up. But if you know these systems, you will easily find out those positions. So when he is saying there is nothing outside language, he is referring to two systems in fact, grammarian system and Buddhist system. Both accept this, right? There is nothing outside. But for a grammarian, only up to here, this one is conceptual. This meaning must relate to the object in the world, ontological object, let us say. But for Buddhists, everything is within. This is the difference. Okay? For a Buddhist, this whole is conceptual. Why I am saying this, that word is also conceptual? Remember Patanjali's definition. That, listen it carefully, that which when articulated brings the cognition of the object into hearer's mind is called word or shabda. Shabda. Patanjali is defining shabda. So that which when articulated, yeno charitena, that means, somebody here, sir. That which when articulated. Now just reflect upon this. That which when articulated means, does the word has any existence prior articulation or not? Before articulation, word exists or not?
Yes, as conceptually, yes.
In your mind it is there. You are articulating that word which is already here. That which when articulated, so it is already there, but when it is articulated through tongues, lips, vocal cord, etc. Please. That is capable of bringing the cognition here. Cognition. So word is also conceptual and meaning is also conceptual. Brings the cognition of the object here, of the objects. So there are three things. Cow. One is cow, written or spoken, right? So second is its meaning or conceptual image, conceptual image, right? And the third is object itself. Three levels, right? One is the word, which is conceptual. It is articulated at the level of word. This is articulated, but before articulation it exists. The word cow exists in our mental lexicon. No? That word is articulated through vocal organs or written. So this and this one, the meaning, that is the conceptual image evoked by this articulation. And then finally it relates to the object. Think of those books which you are studying during your class 1 or preliminary classes. One side there was word and there was image of that object. Apple and then image of apple. Okay. which one is more real? Apple or image of apple? Both are imaginary, conceptual, isn't it? Actual apple is outside the book, right? Outside the book. It is simply a representation. It is as good or as bad as the written sign. The only thing is that icon, index, symbol, maybe you know that? Good, good. My task is now easy. Icon, index and symbol. What is the difference quickly between the three? Icon, how do you identify an iconic sign?
So it's
Such things should be here on the tips of your fingers. Right? Photograph of a person. So it is based on similarity. Icon is based on sadrishya. Sadrishya. Okay, image of cow or something. Huh? There is biscuit. Huh? The actual object is here within. Okay? The actual object is within, you know. But here is this is the iconic, right? Then index. So your picture, your photograph, that will be iconic in that sense. Image of a tree, when you draw something, that will be iconic because that is similar to the object it represents, and that is more widely acceptable, because sometimes we don't know the linguistic sign. It varies from language to language, but iconic sign remains same. Tree in every culture community, it will tree. So once you draw a tree, it will be communicated. Tree will be communicated through. But tree, vriksha, darakht, these all have different linguistic signs, right? So icon. Then index. Based on what? This is based on similarity, sadrishya, right? Icon is based on the sadrishya that this sign represents. And what is sign, first of all? That I know, that is dictionary meaning. But what is that?
So sign is something which reminds us of something else.
Yes, nothing is a sign unless it is interpreted as a sign. First of all, nothing is a sign. Charles, yes, right. Nothing is a sign unless it is interpreted as a sign. And a sign always stands for other than itself. Right? These two things. A sign always stands for other than itself. So I have written this word here. This is not just to give you an idea that there are 3 letters.
So please write in the name of CS space, and you all should go and study
CS?
And Wikipedia is fine.
PEI or PIE?
PEIRCE.
Okay. Charles Sanders verse. Oh, wonderful work.
Charles Sanders and also please write another name, Abelard. Here Abelard. We should read.
Spelling, sir, I don't know French.
P-I-E-R-R-E.
P-I-E-R-R-E.
And then Abelard is our famous.
Abel?
L-A-R-D.
Abelard.
These 2 names you must study.
Abelard. And get confused. Okay? Right? Read them carefully. Whatever you are reading, read carefully. You know, my classification, I also come under the last one. Scholars are wisely read. Okay? Scholars are wisely read. Scholars are wisely read. And scholars are wildly read. Okay? Whatever comes your way, study all. Without any.
You come in the first.
No.
I come in the second.
Widely read scholars. Fine. Yes. So this is index. What is index? If I draw something like this, is this icon? Index? Yes, index. Or that smoke, fire and smoke, black cloud in the sky, huh? Rainy season, that it will rain, something like this. That is based on causal relationship. Index is based on causal relationship. And so here you have similarity, here you have causal relationship, and the third one is very unique and most dangerous, which we are dealing with, symbol. Symbol. Okay? What does that mean?
Doesn't refer directly to what we want to say. It's more elaborated.
What?
I think symbol doesn't refer directly to what we mean.
You want pen?
More elaborated.
Should I give you pen? Could you? Yes. Yes, please. It doesn't refer to the object directly.
Directly to the object, but it's kind of.
But these two are also not referring to the object directly. Even icon is not referring to the object directly. Is it?
Not directly, but the comprehension of this is,
Right.
close.
Close.
In this symbolic way, we have to have some specific knowledge to decipher what is a symbol.
And
Yeah,
right,
of course.
right. Huh? This is arbitrary. In other words, this is arbitrary. Okay? Arbitrary. But if it is arbitrary, any word would mean anything.
It's not totally arbitrary. It's arbitrary for people who doesn't know,
Right.
doesn't.
It is arbitrary only at the first stage, because there is no logic why an object is called tree. But once it is called tree and it is established, it is no longer arbitrary now. The relationship between the two, the object and the linguistic sign, is now established. And that's why Indian grammarians were saying from 4th century BC. That's why I was telling, Saussure is taking from various sources. He is a great scholar. It is called Siddhe Shabdarth Sambandhe. D. Sambandhe. Siddhe Shabdarth Sambandhe. What are the Siddh means established, right? It is established. So what are the things that are established? Shabd, word, arth, meaning, and the relationship between the two. Three things are established: word, meaning, and the relationship between the two. Sambandh, right? This is a Vartik from Katyayan, composed by Katyayan, which is a commentary on Ashtadhyayi of Panini, right? Quoted by Vartik is no longer available with us, but some quotations are there, quoted by the later grammarians like Patanjali in his text. So Siddhe Shabdarth Sambandhe. So linguistic symbol is arbitrary, first, arbitrary in nature because it doesn't follow similarity or causal relationship. But once it is established, it is no longer arbitrary. This is arbitrary only at the first level. Once you accept it that this symbol would mean this particular object, and remember Saussure was saying that sign is social in nature, है ना? Because you accept only that is not sufficient. It has to be accepted by the wider community, larger community. Only then it will function, right? Then it will be interpreted in the same fashion, arriving at that particular meaning. So shabd is a symbol. Okay, shabd, a word is a symbol, not icon, not index. It's a symbol. It's arbitrary, but once क्या दे दीजिए. So once it is established, then it is no longer arbitrary. Got this idea? Okay. So sign, then three types of major types of sign: icon, index, and symbol. And then we are dealing with only symbols, not icon, not index, right? So cow, the way it is written or the way it is spoken has nothing to do with the actual cow. It doesn't look like similar to what it represents, or not indexical. There is no causal relationship also. So simply a matter of social acceptance, or the establishing this relationship by certain social norms, practices. And this is again the grammarians have been telling us right from the beginning that language is used by the world. So we have to follow the norms which is used by the world. When the people speak a language, we have to describe that language which is used by the people, right? So that is important. And the lok, or the word, is the source of validity for the grammarians. Epistemological validity comes from the world for language description. Now in the world you will see that people are using the language, and grammarian's task is to describe it, take out the rules which are applied there. Moreover, these you see, when you see this variety of uses in the world, regional variety, temporal variety, or the variation in language use, maybe your society is stratified, then you can also see the distinction used by different stratum of the people. Now the task of the grammarian is to decide whose language, which particular form of language he or she is going to describe. Is he going to describe all these varieties? Then there will be innumerable grammars devoted to one particular reason, one particular time or so, innumerable. So the task which we are arguing, that language or grammar also functions on the principle of economy. So that economy is gone. Okay. So how to describe a language? Hindi, for example, or Spanish or French or any language, they must be having varieties, different in different areas, and through the tone you can identify the person belong to this particular area. For example, Hindi spoken in this area, you might have, if you are coming from different region, you might have found the specific types of articulation. And same when you go to Delhi and see the Hindi, आपने कहाँ जाना है, आपने कहाँ जाना है, ये कौन सी हिंदी है समझ नहीं आती है ना. So there are varieties, but through this you can identify the person belongs to this particular area also. So the grammarian's task is to describe the language, but which variety, which form of the language is to be described for the sake of economy, for the sake of description. This is the question. Should he describe Bihari Hindi, or Hindi is spoken around say Prayagraj or Chhattisgarh or any other region? Now if you go like this, the whole purpose of Vyakarana, grammar will be defeated, because you are writing so many grammars at the same time. So this is a great task, and that's why they prefer to take a kind of standard within quote, not in the sense of privileged, okay, a standard language of someone, and who is going to be the ideal speaker. Now in other cultures we have different preferences, that language of the upper caste, language of the elite, language of the scholars who are teaching in some universities, also highly educated person. No, here they have taken a very simple parameter, shist, the concept of shist. Shist, this is a technical term. Shist, ideal speaker, you can say here. In this context of Vyakarana, grammar, one can say ideal speaker. His language or her language will be ideal language for description in grammar, in Vyakarana. And who is the Shishya, sister? Beautiful definition given in Mahabhashya or in Mimamsa Shastra. A person whose the whole worldly position is only a jar of grain, okay, a jar of grain, that is his whole worldly possession, wealth, and who has excelled, who has devoted himself in studying a particular knowledge discipline and has excelled in that. The language of this kind of person will be the ideal language for description. Once you describe this language, because his language will be widely understood despite all these variations, okay, and it is economical also to analyze this language. And once you once you have described the language of this Shishta successfully, then you can explain the variations as well, variations, deviations from this norm, okay. So norm and variation go together. Panini talks about bhasha, he is describing a bhasha, and vibhasha, alternative uses, okay, vibhasha. So instead of saying re, people would say ru also, ru, that is regional variation, re and ru. If you move to Gujarat area, people speak there re as ru. So vibhasha, alternative uses. Then there is another concept, antarbhasha, intermediate language, appearing between the two different speech communities, in between. So because there is a connectivity, continuity, so antarbhasha, intermediate language. So all such devices are there, such categories are there to describe language, and not necessarily to normativize, that this is the language you must speak, but you have to describe the language of a Shishta, because this is called sadhu bhasha. This is sadhu word, grammatically accepted word. Grammatical, it should be grammatical, and it should be acceptable in the world also, because using the rules of grammar you can make any number of sentences, any number of words, okay. So all such words, though they are grammatically correct, but they are not in the use in the world. So what is the purpose of creating artificial words? Using Paninian sutras, you can create innumerable such words, okay, but they are not in use. So two things are important. It should be grammatical, the expression or word should be grammatically correct, grammatical, and second, it should be acceptable, acceptable in the world, right. So now come to this. So Buddhist position regarding the linguistic science is that it has to be conceptual. It is conceptual. Second, it's a conceptual image. Second, it is indirect, right? indirect relationship between word and the object, word and the object. वही अच्छा था, ब्लैक बोर्ड, old one with chalk. So here you have this kind of relationship, word and object and meaning. Now try to understand. We said that there is no direct relationship between word and object. But is there any direct relationship, according to the Buddhist position, between meaning and the object itself? Meaning is what? Conceptual image, let us call it. Right? Is it possible to have a direct relationship between meaning, conceptual image and the word object itself? Think of Buddhist position. Even this is not possible. Because this object is in constant change, right? This object is, that's why I devoted too much time in discussing all these things.
We need something to describe.
Yes. So this is, आप नहीं दीजिए, मैं कर लूँगा सर, leave it sir, leave it. So even this is not possible. So this is also indirect. This is individual, this is universal. The mental image is universal, conceptual, jati. है ना, अभी जाति पढ़ी ना हमने. So this is individual, vyakti, substance, this is class. So how can these two be same?
Object is also qualifies. I mean, there are so many things in object and meanings of it.
Yes, yes. At this level there will be innumerable objects like that. Cow, for example, multiple cows. But here it is a class property, conceptual category, that is called jati, universal. So these two, see the situation now. Even this one is indirect, this one is indirect. Right? Only direct relationship is between word and its conceptual image. It must evoke the conceptual image. Otherwise, there is no purpose of this word also. Second, it is a differential in nature. A linguistic sign is differential in nature. We are discussing Buddhism, remember. So this conceptual image and this word is differential in nature because this conceptual image just exclude the other images. The function of this image is to exclude others. Contextually, it excludes others. Word also, if you utter a word cow, it excludes rest of the other words. So the nature of linguistic sign is differential in nature, and the meaning that is posited here is also differential in nature. Meaning is also a kind of exclusion. Then how do we arrive at the meaning that this object is indirectly associated with this? But how do we arrive at this conclusion that by word cow we mean certain object? We arrive at the definite conclusion because its counter correlates are excluded. Okay, counter correlates are excluded. This is precisely Apo theory of meaning. Right? Buddhist theory of meaning is all about this. Now, remember we talked about Nihswabhav, that an object is devoid of its own nature. Why? Why devoid?
Because it is
Pratitya Samutpada, right? It is a product of dependent causation. So the object is devoid of its nature. Second, it is constantly changing. these two aspects. So this object here, this is the object here, no? So this is also in constant change, and devoid of its own nature. Remember, we are discussing Shabda at the level of Anuman. We are discussing this at the level of inference. So lots of mental processing is going on. We are trying to, not only trying to capture reality, but in this effort we are in fact structuring reality. Right? We are not trying to grasp reality at ease, because this is beyond the domain of Shabda. Instead, we are trying to structure, create this reality through these signs. Okay? So, this has to be very, very clearly understood, that the idea or the understanding of the world which we are gaining through these various means which are here, it is simply pragmatic, phenomenal only, right? So and what we are doing next time, we are structuring this reality and we are imposing this reality, created reality on that, the real whatever. So the actual reality is veiled, and not to distinguish between the two may be a cause of suffering. Cause of suffering, right? So everything is interconnected. This is the beauty of this or any system, you know. So each and every component is bound together. It relates with other types of things. Now in Nyaya Vaisheshik, it is very simple. In Nyaya Vaisheshik philosophy, this relationship is very easy to understand. The relationship is like this. Here you have word and here you have meaning. What is the Saussurean position on this signifier and signified?
It's arbitrarily.
It is called DYAD, Dyad theory, Dyad relationship. Two things are there, only two components are there, signifier and signified. DYAD. French word है sir? French है?
French, Latin.
Okay, means two, right? So only word and meaning. See how Saussure is, I don't know whether Saussure is doing this or his editors. Okay. But this is a Nyaya position. And grammarian's position is that Shabda has two aspects, signifier and signified, because word is also kind of sign, right? Sign. So this is signifier and this is signified, and there is a relationship between the two. So this is called Dyad theory of language according to Saussure. Now here you can see the two, okay, but Nyaya has taken a different position. For Nyaya, meaning and object are same, right? Padasya artha, padarth kya hai? Pad ka arth, arth means object, ontological object, real object according to them. So they call it abhideyatvam geyatvam padartha samanya lakshanam. Abhideyatva, that which can be named. How there are two conditions to qualify as object. One is it should be nameable, and second, geyatvam, it should be knowable. Two things. Nameable and knowable. name and nameable and knowable. These two conditions. And now try to see rabbit's horn, whether it is a padarth according to Nyaya or not. Rabbit's horn. Why? No, it is nameable. You are giving a name, not knowable. So it doesn't qualify there. You got the difference? ठीक है, बड़ा impressive. Okay. Okay, nice. Are you tired? Don't hesitate to say. 5 minutes or? 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Because tomorrow, maybe the last class, no? Tomorrow I have to wind up everything. So this is the position taken by Nyaya. So you have word and you have object. Object as meaning, right? Nameable and knowable. So those things that do not qualify on these two parameters, they are excluded from the domain of padartha, right? So you have, for example, ghat, pitcher, that is a word, and that there is a object also. So the object itself will be the meaning of that word, right? This is also dyad, but different kind from the grammarians. Now see this. How grammarians come up with their own understanding of the things. Here you have 3 levels. Word, meaning, sampratyaya, samprattyayo bhavati sa shabdah, cognition of the object, meaning, right? And here you have the object itself. But the grammarians are saying that there cannot be a direct relationship between the two. Okay? Word is also conceptual. See the similarity with the Buddhist. According to Buddhist philosophers also, this is conceptual. Okay? Yeno charitena sasna langun, that which when articulated brings the cognition of the object into hearer's mind. So that which when articulated, it means it pre-exists articulation. Word pre-exists articulation or writing. So that is conceptual. So this is conceptual. This is also conceptual. Up to here there is similarity. Okay? But this one is identical, not differential. So difference is clear now? This is identical. When we utter the word cow, we understand cow. It is not that we first know what is non-cow and then we exclude it and then find the meaning of the word cow, as the Buddhists are saying. And now, the second difference is that this relationship is direct between this object and this object, conceptual and this one. So this meaning must relate some object, external or internal, but it refers to certain ontological element. Now, but the grammarian's task is much more wider and difficult from that of the Nyayikas. Nyayikas would dismiss simply if the object is not found there, right? But in the case of grammarians, since they are dealing with this conceptual image, bodh, pratyaya, sampratyaya, so even if you say rabbit's horn, though the object is not there, but which object is not there? Rabbit is there, horn is also there. What is the difficulty?
So, someone is not there, avyaya being
The relationship is not there, right? Rabbit's horn or horn tiger, this relationship is negative. So the grammarian are saying that okay, we are not coming to that, but if a person is using, if the world is using this expressions rabbit horns or horn tiger, they might be having certain ideas while using this word. Idea may be non-existence. So meaning will be non-existence simply, or the meaning will be negation. So, but when we use a word, we use with certain concept. certain concept. Maybe it is non-existence or existence whatsoever. So here is the difference between the two, right? Now, conceptual image, that is also indirect. This is indirect relationship, according to the Buddhist scholars also. And then it is positive, not differential. This meaning is positive, not negative or differential, positive. And then both Buddhists and Vaiyakarnas, they agree also in this, that this is universal, jati roop. Grammarians are also say positive, but for them jati is ontological. Jati is not simply a kind of fabricated entity or processed by mind. Jati is real for them, whereas for the Buddhist, jati is simply a product of conceptualization. It is not ontological, right? So these are the differences, slight differences, and you will say that this is the position taken by the grammarians or Buddhists or Nyayikas. Now, if you come to the Mimamsakas, this is ontological. Okay, both are ontological, and direct. The relationship is direct. Here, and here. It's a direct and universal. They posit universal, right? Remember, Buddhists do accept universal or jati, right? Because they are dealing with the phenomenal reality. So at that level, mental processing goes on, and jati is accepted. Otherwise, verbal communication may not be possible, right? But they deny the ontological status of universal, because this is a conceptualization after all. Okay, for the sake of communication or to behave with this reality or world, we have to formulate certain things. Otherwise, it is not accepted. So these are the positions taken by different philosophical schools, and all these assumptions, all these formulations are rooted in their specific respective philosophical systems. Now, just one thing, and then we'll wind up. Now, apuh ghaya. This is the structure which we just talked about. So, when somebody utters the word cow, remember this structure, triangular relationship. Like this. And this one is also indirect. What is happening when somebody utters the word cow? It immediately generates its counter correlate. And what is counter correlate? Non-cow. Right? Non-cow. So when somebody says that bring the cow, you don't bring any other animal. Right? You bring cow only. Why? Because you know what is non-cow also. Right? You know the non-cow, otherwise you would have brought some other animal. So cow and non-cow, immediately it generates this counter correlate. This is called anya apoha. Right? Anya apoha. Anya apoha. Anya means other plus apoha. It's counter correlate. Right? And when this non-cow is excluded, okay, it is excluded by this processing, mental processing, inferring, this meaning is established. And this is a samanya, not individual. This is universal jati roop. This is a general samanya lakshanan. We were talking about samanya lakshan. By inference, we what do we gain? Samanya, universal or general. So this, by exclusion of non-cow, we get this meaning. We get the meaning of the word cow. Why this indirect, oblique way of representing the object? Two things are there. Because the object is devoid of its own nature, so it cannot directly refer to this, right? It cannot be a part of the transcendental reality, right? And it is devoid of its nature, So it has to be in conformity with the philosophical position taken by that respective system. Second thing, it is differential in nature because at the level of class, we can very well discriminate class property. On the basis of class property, we can distinguish one class from another class. There are three ways to deal with difference. There are three types of differences. भेद इसको कहते हैं, है ना? भेद, difference. स्वगत भेद. सेकंड, सजातीय भेद. एंड तीसरा, थर्ड, विजातीय भेद. Think of any fourth type. Swagat bhed, difference within the same entity, just like my left hand and right hand, one branch of the tree and another branch of the same tree. So difference is within the same entity. Got the point? Sajatiye, belonging to the same class, same jati. Sajatiye means same jati or class. So one tree from another tree, class is same tree, but one tree different from another tree. And vijatiye, difference between the classes. So tree and mountain, mountain and human being, like this. Two different classes, no? Human being and tree, tree and mountain, these are different classes. So the difference exists between the classes also, within the class and within the same entity. Can there be the fourth one also? Think about it. Come back with some another category tomorrow, right? So this is difference, right? So cow and non-cow, excluding in terms of class. Okay, this is individual, this is class, this is individual and class. This individual is referred to by implication. Both are class, cow and non-cow. But how do you reach at the meaning of individual? By implication. Okay? Within class, you have different members. Members are also named as you name the class. This is the difference between common noun and collective noun. How do you differentiate between the two? Common noun and collective noun, might have studied in the school days also. Common noun and collective noun. We are discussing universals, common nouns, right? And collective. कैसे करेंगे अंतर बताइए? Suppose this is a class of cow. So individual cow, these individuals are also given the name of the class, right? Individual cow is also cow. The name is same for the class and for the individual. But in case of collective nouns, you have, for example, here forest. One tree, second tree, third tree, fourth tree, but a single tree cannot be designated as forest. So the name of the group doesn't apply to the individual in case of collective noun, whereas in the case of common, the name of the group or class equally pertains to the individual. This is the difference, right? So here we are discussing with the common nouns, universals. Common nouns are based on universals, common characteristics. So by means of exclusion of non-cow, cow is established by inference. Okay, this is the Buddhist theory of meaning, apohavad. And this is in full conformity with the theoretical position they have taken. It's a part of their whole system. So I think I should stop here today. Tomorrow we will discuss something about literary analysis based on this also. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. No, please.
Several times you have taken the example of cow.
Cow.
You have a figure in your
Mental image.
icon, index and symbol.
Right.
Just mental image, index and symbol. So if I am taking a word, cow, just take go.
Go.
In Hindi, go.
Yes.
So cow has different meaning also. Not only the animal which has a 4 leg and she gives milk, it gives milk. Cow means light also. So
Yes.
how we interpret it?
No,
Also conceptual?
you will yes. Now till now we were discussing simply word and meaning, not contextual meaning. Right? So in a proper context of, for example, somebody is called Goswami. So Goswami, we cannot apply this meaning of cow there. फिर तो milkman हो जाएगा वो. ठीक है. Goswami means knowing senses. Go means knowing senses also. So that depends in what context you are applying it. So, but the process is same there also. You exclude other meanings and you arrive at this particular, depending on the context in which you are applying it. Process is same. Process is same. No? Whether you are using it in the sense of earth or you are using this word in the sense of sun rays. Huh? It is the same process.
Different
So,
methods.
huh.
Some have base longer, but
Yeah. So if you are using, because the context also helps you to arrive at, if there are several meanings given, then it helps you to arrive at that particular meaning, right?
No, but also that you have to see one more aspect, as you know, linguistically you see.
Yeah.
Let's say cow has 2 meanings. One meaning is that the one particular animal. The other meaning is anyone that moves. That's a little meaning, old meaning.
That is etymological meaning.
Etymological meaning. Are they the same word?
They are the same word because you see, etymologically it is derived from the verbal root that means to go, right? But how it is now meaning is determined. Huh? Not everyone that is going will be called cow.
No, but semantically they are not the same word.
Semantically not,
They are
but verbal roots are polyvalent.
Yes,
Yeah.
etymologically they may come from same word, same verbal root, but they are 2 different words.
Doesn't matter because theory still stands there.
When you apply to different meaning, then you have a different set of word and meaning. So the theory, this theory, or any theory, word and meaning, the relationship is for one particular set of word and meaning. Otherwise, in language, you have the whole concept of pun, which
There
comes
are-
from the same word.
there
You
are-
write it differently.
Right,
but it
right,
is the same.
right. There are 14 such conditions described by Bhartrihari to decide or arrive at particular meaning, specific meaning, you know. So, but we are discussing simply the process, whether you use it in the sense of earth or sun rays or whatsoever, but the process will be same.
So
But there are words, no?
There
There are words, so it is still sustains, the theory still sustains.
When we say a word has many meanings, we equally correct a statement. These are different words.
Could be, yeah. But the process will be same.
Yes. For each
Process
set
will be
of-
same in each case. They might have thought about this problem
Yes.
which
For
you have asked.
example, you take any name of any person like Sujata. It's the name of a girl. But Sujata referring to one person, it's not class, but referring to one girl. And there could be hundreds of girls named Sujata. So you have to identify that particular set.
By inference, by inferential process, you arrive at the particular, from universal to particular.
You have to
Process is same. We are discussing this thing. Okay.
And linguistic semantics, they will treat it as different words. Because we are dealing with meaning, so semantics is very important.
Okay. There is another very beautiful work by Empson, no? 7 types of ambiguity. 7 types of ambiguity. So that is the domain of semantics, where you can see how meaning is contextualized, established.
Very good book. I was reading the situational grammar of English. Have you forgotten?
Any other question? Any other?
So can I ask one?
Yeah, please.
From last class, inference, you just told the moment we give the thing a name, it's inference. That's praman, anuman. So I have an example, it comes in my mind that if a mother is, if a woman is pregnant, so the moment the reproduction does, anyone doesn't know. So after 3 months or after 9 months, the children will birth. So she doesn't know either it is boy or either it is a girl, one thing. She doesn't know after 2 or 3 months before going to the doctor that I am pregnant or not. So it took her 3 months, it took her 2 months. But when I was discussing, when you were telling that nanosecond it happens, that it is a pain, then it is a pain. In nanosecond, inference and what is that? Protection anuman. So the first second is protection, second nanosecond is anuman. So what is that?
It is not like that. That first moment you have inference, first moment you have perception, and then second moment. Anuman is not concerned with the momentariness that relates to swalakshana. Swalakshan, that object in that particular moment. Okay, that is the domain of perception, not the domain of anumana. Okay, what you are discussing, that is the domain of anumana, where we fail to take note of the momentariness that is changed, that is taking place every moment, nano moment you can say. So we fail to take note of that. Otherwise, behavior or the expression like this, the way we are articulating it, it will be difficult. So even as you talked about the case of one achieving motherhood, okay, there are successive moments going on, but we are at the moment we name it, we are already at the level of anumana, right? Anuman means that which follows the mana, anu plus mana, that which follows the established thing. And what is the established thing here? That swalakshana. Swalakshana is established, and then it is established by perception, not by anumana. Okay. Then the second epistemological tool which we have in Buddhism is called anuman, and it will give you only the samanya lakshana. So woman is achieving this motherhood. It is a process of that anumana, right? So that particular moment, if you can capture it, the thing in itself, in that particular moment of time, you can use perception, swalakshan. But when you are taking the span of time of 3 months or 4 months, and you are almost freezing this time, 3 months time or 4 months time, then you are already at the level of Samanya. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
No, wait.
For the grammatical concept, we went from verb to object. We
Huh?
said there is a relation between them indirect.
There is a
Word to
I think we said from verb to object, there is an indirect relation.
relationship, yes.
But
Yes.
sorry, I mean, can be applied to all languages because in every language there are so many exceptions, like French.
Mhm.
I mean, there is some verb, does it refer to, same thing to another person? Because let's say, in German, there are articles. They say article. These articles, first of all, they show gender. But after some time, they are using this for positions. Should we look pattern to understand this? Or according to which concept we are saying this?
See, so far the relationship between word and object is concerned, according to the position taken by the Buddhist, it has to be indirect. But you are referring to certain grammatical classes,
So
parts of a
I
speech.
understand this. When we were saying grammatical, what we mean to say this?
The process is same. Again, whether you take article, for example, you know that this particular article is different from rest of the articles. Counter correlates. Its counter correlate will be generated. A, N or D, the counter correlate will be generated accordingly, and it is discarded, and the meaning of this is established in this way. So the process we are discussing, how this thought process takes place, right? Yes.
Very simple question, I don't know. If there is the relation between word and object is indirect,
According to,
Vigyanwadi.
always use this. It is not the same position taken by.
According to Vigyanwadi.
Yes, yes.
So is imitation possible?
Imitation.
This phenomenon of imitation.
This is what we do. In Samanya, we do imitation also.
But it's not possible, right? Because we are saying that there is no direct.
No direct, yes, but you are all the time imitating and creating something. Okay, you are already. So, for example, mountain and its image. Let us say, this is what you mean. You imitate mountain and make a picture painting of that, right? That mountain you have conceptualized. Okay, the mountain which you are painting is conceptualized, and you are trying to imitate that conceptual image. Conceptual image, right? So it is simply a very, very general kind of painting, referring to the general aspects of the mountain. It should appear like a mountain. That's all.
So I was speaking in terms of poetics, where certain
Mimesis.
Yeah. There's certain, and even in terms of sound, where let's say there is an emotion. For example, the whole idea of guna, that you have to use specific kind of sounds for a specific kind of.
See, the whole process of mimesis is conceptualization. You are no longer at the level of perception.
Oh yes.
Okay.
So there is no mimesis in that sense. There is only representation.
You can't do, but you name it that you are imitating. You are imitating only that your mind has freezes.
Yeah.
Freezed,
So imitation is not
So,
possible.
ontologically, from the Buddhist point of view, how can you imitate that things in momentariness? That can be realized, but cannot be replicated. This is the idea, right? Think of it, a good dimension to study. Yes. That's all. Thank you very much.